and I am an executive director. Oh, now we're live. Hello. It's Angela Clay, and I'm an executive director with Paw Treat. And I also run a cat rescue here in Oklahoma. Um, just real quick, back in 2020, we did about 2,100 cats. In 2021, 2,800 cats. And now in 22, we're looking at doing close to 4,000 cats in our rescue. We're huge. And I would like to just say that Paw Tree has opened up a lot of opportunities for me, and the products have been phenomenal in the different issues and health quality that we've seen in the rescue. But anyway, this, even though I'm coming from a cat rescue, this is really good for breeders, both cats and dog breeders. I have implemented this with several different dogs and cats, and I found it very effective. Anyway, I'm just going to start. What I do is this product overview is actually a product that I've kind of created myself. And it's called, a Paw Soup is what it is. And a Paw Soup is two different kinds. We have to start off with a base first. So our base is either going to be a wet food, which is the canned food for cats, and or, oh, guess what? I'm not going to spend the money on canned food. Okay, that's great. Then we take our dry food, okay? And with our dry food, you can actually go and look at our bone broth. Sorry, this is backwards for me. You can take our bone broth. Now, if you have an empty bone broth container, this is 8 ounces. So you can take 1 tablespoon of our bone broth, mix it up with 8 ounces of warm to almost hot water, shake it up. Now you're going to take this 1 cup of made bone broth and you're going to mix it with your dry food. And I mix mine with 2 cups of dry food. So 1 cup of bone broth to 2 cups of dry food. So if you need help figuring, how much do I have to use for this or that, holler at me or whatever, and I can help you with that. So anyway, I let that soak, and if it's hot, I'll let it soak for about 30 minutes or so. Usually it'll soak it up, but my rule of thumb is if I make the bone broth with dry food, I make it in the morning, I let it set in the refrigerator until my evening feeding. And then same then, I'll make it in the evening and I'll use it in my morning feeding is what I'll do. I never heat it up super hot, just barely lukewarm just to take the cold off of it. Now, you will have some dogs, puppies, cats, kittens, whatever. You'll have some of them that like it cold and they don't want it warm. Or some of them just don't care and they're just like, give it to me now. So anyway, what I do is when I take that either wet or now the dry wet food that we've created with the bone broth, you're sitting there going, well, what in the heck do I do with that? Well, let's say that I'm just going to use my cats as an example. And you can look at your puppies or dogs or whatever the same. But I will go in and I will add my salmon oil. Now, maybe you don't have salmon oil and you have the salmon oil drops or the chews. Throw that in there. And then let's say, now I'm kind of heading towards the Core 4. So if you know what Core 4 is, it's a salmon oil, it's a Gastro Pro Plus, okay? It's the CBD Mega, which is right here. And then also your Joint Support Plus. Now, for me, my Core 4, my personal Core 4 for my cats is not the Joint Support Plus, it's the Allergy Support Plus. I love Allergy Support Plus for my cats. Don't get me wrong. I will use Joint Support Plus, especially on my declaws, because my 4-paw declaws, my 2-paw declaws, whatever, front, back, sideways, I feel that whenever they're declawed, it really throws everything off in their whole vertebrae and in their feet and in their joints and everything. So this joint support really, really helps them. But right now I'm kind of talking kittens, and cats, but I really like my Allergy Support Plus because I have so many issues with cats and allergies, loss of hair, things like that. Now, yes, you have to make sure you're keeping up on your worming program, on your flea and tick program. And I know Poultry has a flea and tick spray, so you can use that or whatever you want to use. Now, I'm going to go back for 2 seconds on wet food for cats. I want to let you know I make my soup by the gallons. I make between 8 and 10 gallons twice a day. And so I've got blenders galore going off. And I thought to myself at first, oh, you know what? I'm going to cheat and I'm going to use this wet cat food. So I'm not going to name any names or anything. And I mean, I went through like maybe 10 different brands. I was blending up 8 cans per blender, and that would make a whole gallon by the time I put the bone broth and, the core 4 stuff and everything like that. Anyway, when I would get done and I'd pour and then I'd go back and I'd pour and I'd go back, I get to the bottom and I'm like, what in the heck is that? Out of every 8 cans, certain brands had a whole entire can at the bottom of the blender. It was all bone fragments. I was like, what in the world is this? And then I started getting up on my Poultry. And you know what? I can blend and blend and blend and blend all day long. And I never had bone fragments in the bottom of my blender when I got done. So that's one reason I really, really like, either this wet food for the cats or the dry food for the cats or the dogs, mixed up with our bone broth. With our bone broth. So just to let you know that, because I was just like, oh, I'm going to cheat a little bit. Boy, I didn't cheat. I was getting a whole can of bones. So anyway, so you have pets that are super picky, right? Oh, this dog, it doesn't want to eat its joint support, or it doesn't want to eat the CBD mega, even though I've sprinkled it over its food. It just doesn't. It's picky. That's why you make this soup. You put your base in it, whether it be wet food, dry food with a bone broth, and then you just start adding anything you want. So you can read your ingredients, and sometimes whenever you're trying to do stuff, you'll have to figure it out. Oh, well, this cat only gets 1 pump of that, or this dog gets 3 pumps of this, or you just kind of work it out. Sometimes if you want, here we go, because if you're, everybody's short on time, you can make enough for a day. So mix it up in the morning, feed it in the morning and at night, or mix it up at night, feed it in the morning and the eve, whatever. So don't worry about having to do that. Blenders, if you got a little bitty thing, get a little knockoff NutriBullet type thing, something little. Or my I think 8-cup and 1, I use a Vitamix is what I use. And I also went to Walmart and got Oster blenders. I think they're like 8 or 10 cup Oster blenders, and they're like $10 or $13 a piece. So, I mean, I got like 10 of them across my, countertop, and everybody's going off, and, I'm just going through there, dump, 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 and, putting everything that needs to go in. But, I really like this because the dogs, cats think this is cat crack. They think it's unbelievable. Dogs, they think it's like, I don't know, chocolate pudding, chocolate pie, whatever, big old, T-bone steak. They love this stuff. But I've never had any issues. You could also, anything that I'm not saying, throw it in. Just throw it in the blender and let it blend. I blend it for about, I'm going to say 30 seconds to a minute. Depends on how much stuff you're putting in it, and how fast you're putting it in or not fast. Now, if you want to, and that's no joke. When I said wet your food down and then throw it in the blender, you wet your food down and throw it in the blender. So you're either putting the wet food in or you're putting the dry food that is wetted in. But make sure that you put that in the blender. And then, like I said, just start adding what you need to add for your pet. And believe me, when you put the CBD mega in there, it turns green and it looks like broccoli soup is what it looks like. But they don't care what color it is. They just love it. So anyway, I know I ran through this super fast because I got off of what I was going to say. Allergy, brain drops. Brain drops work great in it too. Bladder support. I'm looking through And this is for the pet pros out there and anybody that's working with a pet pro. We have these product knowledge cards. And what I've done is laminated them and I put them on a little binder so that you can go through them. So you can ask your pet pro, hey, do you have these that I can see real quick, with information, or I can't see what I'm doing. So anyway, these are really good references to use. But the number one, here it is, the tear and stain uh, things. I tell you what, these things work phenomenal, especially like in my Persians and any kind of Himalayan or any kind of cat that's got that tear. They don't want to eat these, and they hate eating joint support plus sometimes, just picky ones. But anyway, put that stuff on there, and I'm telling you what, they will scarf it down in a heartbeat. But I don't know if I am forgetting anything. Bladder support, hairball, joint support. The chillax works great. The X-Away, CBD Mega. I think I've pretty well hit anything. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'll go over real quick again. You can either use a wet food or you can turn around and use bone broth. That's 1 cup of bone broth for 2 cups of dry food is what you can use. If you don't, you can use a half a cup of bone broth with 1 cup of dry food. Just figure out that different. If you need help doing the calculations, I'll help you out. No biggie. Just put the comments or questions down below wherever you're watching this from, YouTube or wherever. So anyway, you can do that. But I really, really feel that this is important. One thing that I went through 2.5 years ago, was panleukopenia with kittens and cats. And this literally, I said, this is a do or die situation. And my kittens, I threw them on this and they were freaking surviving. And I just got done going through Panleuk again this spring, and along with other fosters and stuff that I work with. And throwing this with them, just boom, they came lively within 2 days. This helped tremendously instead of just regular, whatever. But I like Pawtree. I trust Pawtree. That's huge for me to say, because I have to use it for quite a while before I trust it. And with this stuff, I'll tell you what, I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. But the soup, like I said, I don't have one individual product that I like. I like using all of them together to create something like this soup, and I call it a paw soup. So anyway, I don't know if anybody's got any questions or anything. I hope I hit everything that I needed to hit. But I think that might be it. So that's all in a real short thing. You literally just get a blender, get your base food in. Now, with the wet food too, sorry if I confused you all, with the wet food, I also put the bone broth in. I put at least, with eight cans of food, I put 2 cups of bone broth. So that'll kind of break it down for you in that size of a container. And like I said, I can help you break it down if you need. But anyway, so if you have something that a dog or cat does not want to eat, you can easily turn it into a soup, and it's simple. They think it's great to eat. And then they're getting all the nutrition and everything. And we're just kind of like, hey, look what I discovered. And they're like, oh, I like this, Mom. So anyway, I think that's it. And y'all have a great day. And I will talk to y'all later. Bye.